Welcome to today's episode. Today, I will fully present my tanks available in my modifications. Both in MCPF and Mineguns, there are two machines available, the Tiger 1 and Leopard 2A4. Additionally, in MCPF there is also a Tankette, a small tank equipped with a machine gun. Today, I will explain how these three machines work, how to create them, how to obtain the materials required for their creation, how to load them, make ammunition, and so on. The video will be divided into chapters dedicated to specific topics so that you can easily find information on the topic that interests you. Depending on whether you are playing with MCPF or Mineguns, this aspect can be very demanding or less so. If you are playing with the Mineguns mod, the resources needed to create tanks are iron, netherite, redstone, metals available in Mineguns such as tungsten, titanium, and other minor elements. The situation changes dramatically if you are playing with the MCPF mod. You will need special materials such as a tank engine, prepared armor plates, special boxes with parts, and so on. Therefore, in this chapter, I will show you how to obtain all the parts that might be more complicated to acquire in the MCPF mod. So if you are watching this video to find out how to make a tank in Mineguns, skip this chapter. All the materials required to make tanks are displayed when you enter the Fabricator MK2. Simply select the specific item you want to make and then place the materials needed to create that tank into the Fabricator storage. The materials are very diverse, so I have divided them into categories defining the way to obtain them. In blue, I have marked the materials that you will create in other machines, such as the Fabricator MKI, 3D printer, and so on. In purple, the materials that you will produce in the refinery. In green, the materials that you will produce at simpler workstations, such as the blast furnace. In red, I have marked the materials whose acquisition method I will explain. So let's get started. You will find crates with German resources in the Great Prison. There are about a dozen of them throughout the structure. You can obtain wheels, the engine, armor plates, the tank cannon, and other smaller parts by destroying an enemy tank. For filming purposes, I'll only dismantle one tank, but typically there are several tanks moving around in this structure, along with a whole bunch of hostile soldiers. After defeating the tank, you'll first need to cut the hull and turret into pieces using a grinder. Then, using a welding torch and a propane-filled cylinder, extract items such as the engine, additional pieces of armor plates, and smaller electronic components. You can create the grinder and welding torch in a 3D printer or purchase ready-made tools from a tool vendor. To activate the grinder, press the R button, ensure it's powered. For the welding torch to function, you need to hold a propane-filled cylinder in your other hand. Propane can be produced in a refinery. You'll learn more about refineries in a video where I demonstrate how to create various fuels. After scrapping the entire tank, you should have one tank engine, several wheels, a tank cannon, several armor plates, and a few smaller electrical components. Now we're moving underground, specifically to the Nether, where you can obtain Warhammer Titan armor shards and Thunder Creeper dust. You can obtain Thunder Creeper dust by killing Thunder Creepers, which can only be found in the Nether. Besides being necessary for tank creation, this powder is also an ingredient in most high-caliber ammunition, such as Leopard rounds, APCR shells for the Tiger 1, Javelin homing missiles, combat helicopter rockets, and many others. Remember not to get too close to these creatures, as unlike regular creepers, Thunder Creepers activate only once before exploding. Also, unlike regular creepers, contact with a Thunder Creeper usually results in death. You can obtain crystal shards by defeating Warhammer Titans, which come in two versions, regular and transformed. A Warhammer Titan transforms when it is wounded in any way. To harvest its armor shards, you must defeat its transformed form and then use a grinder to cut off the pieces. Fighting Titans is fairly straightforward as they don't fit in many places, but be careful because their attack is very powerful and can also lead to a quick death. After skinning a Titan, only its skeleton should remain. Remember that sometimes the Titan's owner might survive after being defeated and transform again. To obtain one of the crystals, you need to take a mining drill, switch it to rock crushing mode, and break various ores. This way, every so often, one of the three crystals will drop. Alternatively, You can obtain these crystals by opening safes or loot chests. After the Nether, we descend even deeper to the Dark Zone, where you can obtain ancient metal ingots. To teleport to this dimension, you need to go to the MCPF menu, select the Worlds tab, and choose the third dimension. After clicking, a countdown will start for teleportation to this location. Remember not to move during the teleportation process, as it will be interrupted if you do. Ancient metal can't be easily mined with a pickaxe or other mining tools. To obtain these ingots, you need to have buckets of lava or a welding torch with a propane cylinder. If you find an ancient metal ore, right-click on it with lava or use the welding torch to extract an ancient metal ingot. Remember to move carefully in this dimension because everything here really wants to kill you. For example, if you fall into the local water, you will die instantly. Huge skeletons roam everywhere, and additionally, there is a parameter called mental state. If it gets too low, the player will experience hallucinations and eventually die. The remaining items, as I mentioned earlier, can be made at the other workbenches available in MCPF. Also, remember that the first tank is available only from level 88, while the second one is available from level 107. Alright, we've explained where to get the various resources needed to create tanks. Now, just fuel the Fabricator MK2 with gasoline. Insert charged accumulators or batteries into the power cells, and voila, the Fabricator is ready to work. Now, select the vehicle you want to create. Prepare the materials from the list that appears when you hover over it. Place these materials into the Fabricator's material storage on the left side. Start the Fabricator and press the Create button. If everything is done correctly, a freshly made tank turret should appear in the slot. Now, perform the same steps for the hull. I'll add a warning to always turn off the Fabricator when not in use. It consumes gasoline and energy very quickly, so it's important to remember to turn it off immediately after finishing the creation process. As you can see, the Fabricator automatically takes materials from the storage when creating a vehicle. If there are too many materials, it simply leaves them unchanged. As an attachment, I'll also create several APF-SDS rounds and dozens of machine gun ammunition rounds for the Leopard 2A4, which is built in. I won't cover how to make fuel for powering tanks in this video, as there's already a tutorial showing how to produce fuel. I'll just mention that the Leopard uses diesel for fuel, while the Tiger uses gasoline. Now, assemble the tank. First, place the hull and then the turret near the hull. If done correctly, the turret should automatically mount onto the hull. Now, all that's left is to load ammunition into the tank and fill it up with fuel. All you have to do is get inside, press the K button to start the engine, and enjoy the most powerful weapon available in both MCPF and Mineguns. Regarding the Tiger one, the creation process is the same. It just requires fewer materials and is available at a lower level. The survivability provided by tanks is the best in the mod. When the tank is operational, the player inside is completely immune to damage. The tank itself is impervious to melee weapons, and only another tank or an opponent armed with anti-tank weaponry can pose a threat to it. Weapons capable of destroying tanks include Panzerfaust 3, rocket launcher, javelin, thunder spears, automatic cannon, other tanks, and smaller firearms. In addition to their incredible survivability, tanks are equipped with immensely powerful weaponry. Tanks can be loaded with various types of ammunition, each with its own strengths and weaknesses, allowing the tank to adapt to any situation. Now I will explain what each type of projectile does upon firing. HEATFS projectiles inflict massive damage and additionally destroy terrain upon impact. APFDS projectiles excel in combat against highly armored opponents, dealing massive damage. They are also the fastest projectiles tanks have. APCR projectiles are a weaker version of APFSDS projectiles, dealing less damage and flying slower. These projectiles are ideal for combat against weaker opponents. Heat projectiles are a weaker version of HEATFS projectiles, dealing less damage, and they also do not destroy terrain, making them safer to use in environments where preserving terrain is a concern. FAPC projectiles are ideal against large numbers of dispersed enemies. Upon firing, the cannon will release a cluster of pellets that deal moderate damage. Lastly, there's the classic machine gun. In Mineguns, ammunition has exactly the same properties but differs only in the damage values it deals. In the Tiger one, ammunition works similarly with the difference that it has only 2 types of projectiles and the same built-in machine gun. Now we'll focus on tank operations, which is the first mechanic that significantly distinguishes tanks in Mineguns from those in MCPF in some aspects. Each tank has its own amount of hit points. If this number starts to decrease, first flames will emerge from the engine, and if the tank's owner doesn't take action, the tank will eventually explode. To repair a damaged tank, you'll need several armor plates, a welding torch, and a propane-filled cylinder. Before you start repairing the tank, make sure its engine is turned off. Without doing so, you won't be able to begin repairs. Depending on whether you're repairing a Leopard or a Tiger, you'll need either upgraded armor plates for the Leopard or armor plates for the Tiger. Repairing will take a moment, and a full repair even longer, because the more damaged the tank is, the more times you'll need to repeat the repair process. As you can see, after the repair process, the Leopard regained a small amount of hit points. The repair process for the Tiger looks the same, but in this case, you'll need a regular armored plate. As you can see, just like repairing the Leopard, the Tiger regained a small amount of HP. Repairing tanks and Mineguns is much simpler. The welding torch looks different and is used differently. You don't need to power the torch with propane from a tank. Instead, you just need to charge it in a generator. Once it's charged, simply hold the right mouse button on the tank you want to repair, and its durability points will start to increase. In the MCPF mod, if your tank's durability points drop to 0, it will explode. During the explosion, the turret will be launched into the sky, and you will lose all the loaded ammunition as well as all the fuel that was inside at the time of destruction. It's also worth noting that the more ammunition you have loaded at the time of the tank's detonation, the more spectacular the explosion will be. Therefore, I recommend not driving around with fully loaded magazines. Since we've already blown up our own tank, let's repair it. First, approach the destroyed wreck and right-click to learn how to repair the vehicle. Knowing the required materials, we proceed with the repairs. Just like with minor repairs, hold the right mouse button on the tank while holding the welding torch. After a while, the destroyed tank wreck should be repaired. Remember, it's always better to repair the vehicle before an explosion, as a heavily damaged tank will always be cheaper to repair than a completely blown-up one. As you can see, the tank is ready for combat again. You just need to refuel and rearm it. In Mineguns, repairing a completely destroyed tank is much simpler because, essentially, there is no need to repair it. If your tank explodes while playing Mineguns, it will simply drop an item ready to be placed again. The only penalty for destroying a tank is the loss of all fuel and ammunition that was inside it. I showed how to deploy the tank, now I'll show how to dismantle it. To pack up the tank or any vehicle back into your inventory, you'll need a wrench, which can be crafted in the MK1 fabricator. With the wrench ready, simply approach the tank, right-click, and the tank will be packed back into your inventory. Remember to turn off the engine before doing this, as it won't work otherwise. Don't worry about the items inside the vehicle at the time of packing, as all shells, fuel, and inventory items will be saved. Also, remember that you can't keep packing vehicles into your inventory frequently. After packing a vehicle, the wrench gets a temporary cooldown, preventing you from packing another vehicle unless you're in creative mode, where the cooldown doesn't apply. An interesting feature is that the Leopard has working headlights. While it might not be the most practical function, it does add extra immersion to the game. If you want to turn them on, just press the home button. There is also an option to lock the tank's turret. If you want the turret to stop following your view, simply press the P key to lock it. Now let's take a look at the special outfit, which includes a special helmet and jacket. When you wear both of these items, the interface of the Leopard tank will change significantly. It will look much better and display more of its parameters. Additionally, if a player stays in the Leopard for an extended period while wearing this outfit, the tank will slowly start to regain its durability points. The only requirement is that the tank must be running. In Mineguns, you can simply create this outfit in the fabricator, while in MCPF, you have the chance to obtain it from one of the safes. The last vehicle worth mentioning in this video is the Tankette. This small tank is currently available only in MCPF, although I might add it to Mineguns someday. Although it can be placed without any add-ons, you can't obtain it in survival mode without the MCPF BF expansion, as it's only obtainable as loot transported on a Hussar ship available exclusively in MCPF BF. Despite its small size, the Tankette is a very powerful machine. It comes with a built-in machine gun and is incredibly durable. The player inside it is invincible as long as the engine is running. However, it isn't as tough as the Tiger 1 or Leopard 2A4, as it can be destroyed with enough determination, even with a bow or crossbow. Also, keep in mind that the built-in machine gun has limited firing angles, so if an enemy is behind you, you'll need to turn the entire vehicle to face them. Additionally, as an interesting tidbit, if you have the Minebikes mod installed, you will have the option to utilize the ignition key mechanics it offers. Specifically, if you want to secure your tank against theft by another player, simply assign it a key. This works the same way as in Minebikes and is not a very complicated operation. This is just an additional feature. If you don't like Minebikes and decide to uninstall it, all vehicles that had a key assigned will simply ignore it, so you won't encounter any issues from this. That's all for this episode. I tried to include all the important information you'll need for acquiring your tank. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.